My 34 female, sister, 31 female, was the first among 4 siblings to have a kid, kindergartner. My niece is incredibly spoiled by my sister, our parents, and extended family, and my parents bend over backward for my sister's request, like canceling their anniversary trip because my sister asked to babysit while she goes on a girls' weekend. This spring, my boyfriend and rock in my life passed away. At the same time, I lost my job. I had a lot going on and moved back to my hometown. My parents own a rural property they used to rent out. The property had been empty for a while and fairly run down. My parents invited me to stay there, rent-free, and told me it was my home for as long as I needed. I invested much of my time and money. I found a remote gig into fixing the house. I also made friends with Olha, a Ukrainian refugee with a young daughter. Olha was struggling, and I invited her to stay with me for a couple of months while she got back on her feet. I could use the company as well. She was very thankful, but hasn't made a firm response yet, as she's trying to make things work independently. My parents had no issue with this. Until recent drama, my brother-in-law had been working for a shady company that skirted regulations for profit. The law had caught up with the owner, who folded the company and left the country. I'll cut this short, given the post-character limit. A few other things went down, and my sister's family abruptly moved to our hometown, moving in with our parents. My parents and sister immediately approached me to swap. I move in with our parents, and sister and her family take my place. They said the house I lived in was too large for one person, and it'd be so much better for my niece to live on a beautiful property in nature. I didn't understand. My parents have 2 guest rooms. My sister and brother-in-law and the kid have their own bedrooms. I sure didn't at that age. My brother-in-law still loaded from his old job and could easily get them a place too. They're buying a flashy car. When I mentioned my work on the property, it was dismissed. When I reminded them about Olha, my parents were outraged that I was still intent on helping someone else and their child, not my sister and niece. They kept making out my sister's situation to be nearly as bad as Olha's. Eventually, it came down to my parents saying, "You're living on our property. You'll do as we want." I said, "Well, you gave it to me and said this was my house as well, to be my home for as long as I needed. But if we want to talk in property terms and not family terms, evict me then." My parents are not evicting, but I receive calls daily and messages from them and extended family, guilt-tripping me and calling me an idiot for not giving up the more comfortable space to my sister, who's in such a difficult situation and has a little child. Only my brothers see my side, but since they're young men in college, their opinion means nothing to my family. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Am I the idiot? My sister and brother-in-law still own their old house and refuse to live there because word spread around their small town about brother-in-law's shady dealings. My brother-in-law could literally buy a house for 3 in our hometown, cash on the table, with the funds he got from cheerleading corruption in his old job. Everyone's the idiot here. You make a lot of fuss about your sister and niece being spoiled, but you're leeching off your parents, just like she would be if she lived in the house instead. It's obnoxious of them to try to throw you out when they told you you could stay there for as long as you needed, but it's their property. Seems like you could all stand to grow up and pay for your housing instead of squabbling over mom and dad's resources. Are you missing the fact that OP is still grieving a very recent loss? It's not like she's been there for years. At most, she's been there less than 6 months. She's barely settled and beginning to heal. They could give her a timeline if her sister hasn't figured something out in a few months, but it's incredibly disrespectful to do so. And who the heck buys a new car when they're unemployed? Sounds to me like sister expected this home once she knew she could get it for free. OP's not the idiot. So just a thought. Figure out how much you spent renovating the property. Tell them you'll move out as soon as they repay you for the upgrades to the property and as soon as you find a place to live. I don't need the money back. They're welcome to the improved house, honestly, and I'd never take anything of theirs again. My mother just sent me another long text rant, basically implying that I only want Olha in my house because she's an attractive young woman without her husband around, and I want to see what I can get from it. I'm bi. If you put together all her texts after my boyfriend's passing, of which I still have nightmares, they'd probably be shorter than this rant. Honey, it boils down to your parents favoring your sister because she gave them a grandbaby. It's brutal, but instead of asking the internet, you probably need to accept what your family's telling you. Get some professional mental health support and get as far away from your family as you can. I'm sorry for the loss of your partner. You're going through an unimaginably difficult time. Stop relying on people who don't want to support you anymore. I cannot even imagine kicking a grieving family member out of the house they invested time and money in to make space for someone who can comfortably find their own place. I, female 29, met up with a friend of mine, female 27, at a cafe for lunch today at a new spot we hadn't tried before. The atmosphere was lovely, and it was so nice to catch up. But after lunch, she texted me about an interaction I had and said that it made her uncomfortable. So I'm coming to the internet for judgment. The cafe was order at the counter, so I went up and ordered and paid for both my friends and my food and drinks. Everything went the same as at any other cafe, and I returned to our table. A few minutes later, a waitress, female 30s, brought over our coffees, and it was clear that she had Down syndrome. This was no issue. I think it's lovely that she can find work and is comfortable in the cafe environment. When the waitresses set down our coffees, she said to me, "I made these all by myself," and was quite proud of her demeanor. I told her verbatim, "Thank you. They look fantastic. Well done." The waitress then walked away, and my friend and I enjoyed the rest of our lunch. Only after lunch did my friend text me, telling me that I was rude and condescending to the waitress, and she felt ashamed to have gone out with me. I was quite surprised, so I asked what she meant, and she texted back, "You treated her like a child. If she didn't have Down syndrome, you wouldn't have said, 'well done.'" That was so rude. I can't believe I have a friend who is so discriminatory. I texted back that I had no intention of being condescending, but that the waitress was quite proud of her work, demonstrated by her telling me that she'd made the coffees all by herself, and I just wanted to congratulate her on her hard work. My friend just sent back, "It isn't your place to congratulate her." She has since blocked me. I spoke to my husband 30 about it, and he says that I did the right thing because I encouraged the waitress, but I need more convincing based on my friend's reaction. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Tell your friend there's something called reading the room, and that reactions are tailored to individual circumstances. It sounds like the waitress was pleased with your reaction and took it as a well-meaning compliment as you intended. Get a new friend. The old one lives in a weird place where being nice is condescending. If OP hadn't said anything encouraging to the server and just said, "Thanks," nonchalantly, I bet that same friend would turn around and say that OP was rude and inconsiderate to the server. That kind of person just finds fault in everything and wants to start drama. Your friend is darn Charmin Ultra Soft. I, 40 male, have a daughter, Nina, tween. I also have a stepdaughter, Kelly, a teen, and my wife, Anna, and I have a child, female young grammar school age, together. This is about Nina and Kelly. I met my wife when Kelly was a kindergartner, and within a year, she and Kelly moved in with me. The house we live in has been in my family for generations and passed on to me when I was really young. I've also made some renovations there. It's a 4-bedroom house with 4 bathrooms. One is downstairs and is a guest one, with 3 upstairs. One is shared between 2 rooms, so each girl has her own room and an ensuite, which is especially helpful with Kelly due to how long she now takes with her makeup. This started about a month ago when Nina would come home crying due to bullying at her school. Me and Anna spent ages trying to get the school to do something and find out where the bullying comes from. It all came to a telling her that she's not loved and is a backup kid, telling her she'll die because she's slightly chubby. Just has a bit of chubby cheeks going on, but still healthy for her age, and also scaring her with some made-up stories. I was furious and confronted her about it. Kelly didn't take the confrontation very well. She accused me of favoring Nina. Nina has a slightly bigger bedroom, but a smaller bathroom, and Kelly wanted more space. I said I'm not going to move Nina out of her room after all these years, and Kelly had already declined to swap with us, and she didn't want to share her bathroom with anyone, including our little daughter. I told Kelly that she must apologize to Nina, as some of the things she said were vile and not deserved, and told her she'd be grounded as she still behaved like Nina's friend while spreading those rumors behind her back. Kelly threw a fit and claimed Nina was a threat to her and her reputation, but I stayed firm, as I didn't see how a tween could be a threat to a high schooler. As Kelly started saying more vile things about Nina and our little one, I told her she had 48 hours to pick up her belongings, and I'd be dropping her off at her dad's. She visits him every other week, where she'll have to share a room and the bathroom with her other half-siblings. Kelly and Anna are both annoyed at me over this and have called me an idiot. Anna said that I have no right to parent Kelly, but she's in my home, and her behavior towards my daughter is not acceptable. Edit. I might have worded it wrong. By dropping her off, I don't mean Kelly will be living at her dad's permanently. This is until she apologizes to Nina for the things she said to her and about her, and to Anna and me over what was said about our little one, since some of it was unnecessary, cruel, and untrue. Not the idiot. Anna said I have no right to parent Kelly. Excuse me? If they happily accepted your right to parent her when it was about providing an ample 4-bedroom house, including a bedroom with an ensuite for Kelly, then they should have no problem seeing your right to parent her when she's trying to ruin the lives of her sisters. These responses from parents in blended families always give me pause. You can provide financial and emotional support, but when it comes to discipline, suddenly you're not a real parent and should know your place. Both the wife and daughter need to go. If the roles were reversed, your wife would have much more to say about it. Protect your daughter. I mean, with how the wife is reacting, gotta wonder if Kelly's picking up on some of her thoughts and behaviors. Kelly is vile. She needs a lot of therapy ASAP. OP, you need to nip this immediately. Protect your daughter and step up if your wife is not going to. You do have a right to parent her. When you married your mom, you became the stepdad. She shouldn't be saying crappy stuff about Nina or the youngest sis. She's extremely jealous of her sisters. Anna should be on your side here. You're not asking for much here. You just want her to apologize and stop her horrible behavior. Small update. I have spoken to Anna about what Kelly said about Nina and our youngest daughter and showed her this post. Anna has apologized for brushing it off. She said Kelly didn't tell her most of the story and blamed others for the rumors, and she hadn't realized the extent of it. She will be having a conversation with Kelly and Kelly's dad tomorrow, as this behavior is not acceptable or appropriate. To put it lightly, she's horrified by the comments made by her about both girls and finds it vile. She's also shocked that Kelly made them in the first place. Now to address some of the comments. Having Kelly go and live with her father is a temporary solution and never intended to be permanent, especially if she changes her ways. It was more to separate her from Nina and youngest daughter to ensure no more damage was done while we weren't watching. If roles were reversed and it was Nina who was at fault, I would have sent her to her grandparents to sort out the next move. I've seen a lot of suggestions about therapy. Anna said she'd book it as soon as she had a chat with Kelly, and she wants to know what caused the sudden change. I'm not cutting Kelly from my will unless she carries on displaying such anger toward her sisters. I'm not selling the Taylor Swift tickets either, since it is something Kelly wanted to attend for years. However, if there's no progress, it'll be my wife and her friend who go to see Taylor Swift. Nina's having a few days off from school, and I'll be taking her out to the zoo and spending some father-daughter time together. I will also ask if she feels like she wants therapy to talk things through. Anna and I will also take our youngest to see some cartoons this weekend and to her favorite cafe. Nina can come too, but she's usually busy at the riding school on the weekends. My 26 male, fiance 24 female, Liza, loves to bake and does it as a side gig. The other day, my buddy, Josh, 26 male, and I spent a long afternoon golfing. We came back to my place and we were starving. Liza had just finished a little mermaid cake for her niece's birthday party tomorrow. It was a large cake, at least a half-sheet size. Josh and I raided the fridge and pantry, but there wasn't much to eat. We ended up cutting off the ends of the cake, about 3 inches all the way down. As big as the cake was, that part could be re-iced and still look fine, so we didn't see the big deal. Liza comes home about an hour later and starts flipping out on me and Josh, screaming that we ruined her cake for her niece. Josh hates conflict, so he left while I was trying to calm Liza down by asking her to please be reasonable and saying that it's not that much, plus she enjoys decorating, and all she has to do is redecorate that one end, so it's not a lot to be done. Liza said me and Josh are greedy bastards, and we had no right. I got frustrated and told her to chill out. Nobody cared about her stupid cake. Liza locked herself in the room, and I heard her crying and calling her sister about the cake. Her sister called me and cussed me out for upsetting Liza and ruining her daughter's birthday cake. I guess Liza gave her sister Josh's number too, because her sister called and flipped out on him. Now Josh refuses to come over and hang out here until Liza and her sister both apologize to him. He has trauma from past conflicts, and he doesn't feel safe around Liza at this point. Liza says the bad place will freeze over before she apologizes. All this drama was because we were hungry and ate a little bit of a stupid cake. Try spending almost 4 hours in the sun in almost 100-degree heat. Anybody would be exhausted and starving by then. So, am I the idiot? I love how you frame the story. After a long, hot day of golfing. Dude, bro, buddy. When hearing about long, hot days, golfing is not an activity that stirs up sympathy. You are the idiot. Anyone who does such a famously expensive and exclusionary sport as golf is expected to buy themselves food instead of stealing from a child. Exactly. Are you being serious? You were so worn out from choosing to do your hobby for a few hours that you had to cut into a child's cake? Can you not hear how pathetic you sound? They sell food at most golf courses. You didn't need to steal a small child's mermaid cake like a greedy little monster. Was your phone lost? Did you not have money? Were your legs broken? You couldn't walk, drive, or order something in? You just had to eat a cake that was clearly not made for you and made for someone else. Poor Josh. He doesn't feel safe because he checks notes. Can't do whatever he wants without repercussions. He needs an apology because he did something wrong and someone got upset with him about it. Boo-hoo. Poor little Josh can stay safely away, and I'm sure Liza won't mind if you stay with him. I'm trying to grasp how OP is 26 years old. He's that age and can't go buy some food or snacks on his own and make something as simple as a sandwich? Even if it's a hobby, it still takes dedication, time, and effort. You basically told Liza that her work means nothing. You and Josh both owe Liza a huge apology for being the biggest idiot. You caused the drama because you're an inconsiderate jerk. Why don't you just marry Josh and leave this woman alone?